I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Overall, the pattern looks pretty similar right now across the country. A couple of things that are interesting as we move through your Friday afternoon. One is the fact that pesky low pressure just continues to sit over east and southeastern parts of Nebraska. This low pressure area that's refused to move over the past 3 days has been responsible for some decent rains. Actually, decent is not the right word. It's been responsible for heavy rains over parts of extreme eastern Nebraska and extreme western Iowa. Still have reports of 6 to 8, maybe 9 inches of rain in spots around Council Bluffs. But as we move forward, it really looks like this low has rained itself out, so I don't think we're going to be looking at a lot of precipitation going forward. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for the low to try and dissipate here short term. The fly in the ointment will be if that low does not completely dissipate, then we're going to be maybe seeing some refiring of action. But right now, we're not calling for that. The other interesting thing to watch here is the remains of a little depression, a low, if you will. I believe at one point in time it was a tropical wave that we needed to watch. Now the low's moved into eastern parts of Georgia, southwestern parts of South Carolina. We're seeing good circulation around this. Heavy rains moving through Virginia into West Virginia, and we're seeing some of this spread across Kentucky and Tennessee. So eastern Corn Belt locations, we're going to be on the lookout for at least some clouds, maybe in Ohio, maybe in Indiana as well. I do not think we see precipitation, but if this circulation remains strong or even strengthens, we may have to keep an eye out for some moisture there as we go longer term. Otherwise, the pattern looks the same. Dry, warm, high pressure in control as we go through the weekend and through early next week. Early next week, probably Tuesday into Wednesday, we see a transition from this dry, warm high to a cooler, dry high coming in from the north and west. In between, there's a little front. I don't think it's anything more than a wind shift. It is a temperature gradient, temperature front as well. We'll see temperatures a good 5 to 15 degrees above normal ahead of it to, 3 to 6 degrees below normal behind it. But that alone, to me, does not spell precipitation. Some models, though, are trying to sneak some down in. Key time frame to watch is going to be probably Tuesday night through Wednesday midday. Southern parts of Wisconsin, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, even maybe eastern Iowa. I do need to stress, though, I do not think that we actually see that come to fruition. At this point, my forecast remains dry. I'm just throwing out what some models are putting out there because, you know what, there are some forecasters out there that go lock, stock, and barrel this model or that, and so you're going to be hearing about some rain chances. I don't think they're valid. We're going to continue to go dry. We look for our next round of precipitation to develop as we go into that 4th and 5th time frame. The big problem is the front that's bringing this moisture, the cool air push that's bringing it, actually is showing some strengthening and some slowing. The latest European model is showing this low really ramping up big time as it comes out of Montana and into the Dakotas around the 3rd. So if it slows down that much, first of all, it could do a lot more out west. And secondly, it may take its own sweet time moving across the Corn Belt. I'm seeing some outlooks that are actually projecting this to be maybe the first big winter storm in places like Colorado and northern parts of New Mexico. We'll see. It's not unprecedented, but we'll have to just watch and see how this wants to come together. To me, right now, the lows seem a little bit too far north to get that excited. But either way, right now does not give me any reason to pull back on my forecast for a 1/4 to 1 inch of rain as we go into that first October 4th, 5th, 6th time frame. Let's not get too cutesy with timing, but right in there, 1/4 to 1 inch, maybe even more, depending on how the system works through. You will see some gusty winds, and like I said, a big push of cooler air again behind that front. Should be mostly dry as we head through the 10th, but another strong system coming into the Great Lakes region around the 10th into the 11th needs to be watched closely. International weather not showing anything different. I'm really not overly excited about chances of moisture getting into Brazil's soybean areas, or at least the early plant soybean areas, Mato Grosso particularly, as we go through the next 10 days. There's plenty of moisture south of there. Rio Grande do Sul. Actually, Paraná looks good, and we can plant beans there. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing some moisture in Paraná, but Mato Grosso probably not. Mato Grosso do Sul, some. So we'll have to see whether this is the moisture that guys are waiting on down there before they kick it up a notch and start going or not. But I do think over the next 10 days, that extreme southern part of Brazil looks good on rain, not so much in the central. What about Australia? Well, I'm seeing signs that we might be able to get a system to work into Western Australia late in the forecast period. The way things are shaping up right now, I like the rain showers to be a quarter to slightly over half an inch over about 60% of Western Australia from next Friday night on into Saturday. So we're talking the 2nd, 3rd. They'll dissipate fairly quickly. This is not something that hits the rest of Australia's wheat belt, so dryness is still a story there. Honestly, a quarter to 5/10, 6/10, that's not enough to really allay dryness concerns in Western Australia either. But after a couple of weeks of absolutely nothing, it's nice to at least see a little rain sneak in. That's the way things are stacking up. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.